Hey guys, we are back. We weren't feeling very good last week, and tis the season. We were sick, so we took a sick day last week. So we just wanted to say, well, welcome back. And you know what? It's March, and outside of March Madness basketball, March is reading month.
And reading is what? Fundamental.
Fundamental.
Fundamental. So we have a couple books that we want to share. I don't know who wants to go first, but I feel for I feel like you guys might probably have a couple that you want to share. I have at least one, two, three, four, five, six, seven books on my desk that I would like to share.
And
So
I have 16 books, so I
Yeah.
should probably go last.
Yeah.
or sprinkle them in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Admittedly, most of my books are like on my shelf right now.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be really awkward for me to just get up and go and get some stuff right now. But I did bring over one
Okay.
because I just to see what you can all see what it would look like. It's a graphic novel that I read during one of my college classes. It's
Uh-huh.
called Scarlet Traces, and it was part of a class that I took in college. It was about like steampunk literature,
Mhm.
things like that. And what's interesting about this one is that this started off as like a webcomic sequel to World of the Worlds, and then people loved it,
Ooh.
and then people loved it so much that they were like, "Hey, can you make a graphic novel adaptation of World of the Worlds?" And they just combined it into this one, which is volume one right now. I have not read the other volumes at the moment. I think that's how the story went, but I'm not.
Mhm.
I That's just from what I remember from what my teacher said. But yeah, it's I only we only read volume one, and that has the graphic novel adaptation of World of Worlds and also the sequel one.
Mhm.
And apparently, there's going to be a fourth volume coming out this year. In fact,
Oh, nice. Jenna, is it okay if you could show us like a couple pages from the book just so we kind of get an idea of the art?
yeah.
I'm just curious of the art.
Yeah, like something like
Oh,
this.
wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
that looks cool.
stylized and
Uh,
interesting.
the
Hmm.
stylization that it has a thing going for it. I think
Yeah.
there's two things to kind of bring up is I think that reading especially obviously you want to get you know kind of get a little bit of a learning experience out of reading, and graphic novels have a little bit of a stigma against them,
Mhm.
like, oh, you read graphic novels, that's not really, or you read comic books, that's not really reading a book. Like,
Well, it
I
kind of
feel
is.
it is still a book. I feel like the subject matter of what you're reading in the book is what you should get out of the book. I
Yeah.
mean, for
Mhm.
me, this is a certified classic in some circles, Full Metal Alchemist. Yes, I'm
Mhm.
on my nerd shit. All my books are nerd books, I should say, except for like two.
Mhm.
It just really is the what you get out of the story and how you absorb the story should be how you know you how you what you get out of the book. If you actually look into the story of Full Metal Alchemist, obviously there's all the cool pictures, or like it gets a very dark story, all that kind of stuff. But there's also like kind of in lessons of the price, basically the price for, I wouldn't say selling your soul, but like the price of giving up your morals for certain things, or standing up to the bigger guy for the little guy and such, or standing up against like all odds that you can get from that. And obviously, even if you watch the series, it's subtle. Obviously, you watch it, it's still pretty good. Obviously, there's some other subjects that we probably shouldn't get into due to current events. I'm not going to get
Mhm.
into that part. or but there's a lot for especially this story that I think that some readers could get out of. Um, but yeah, it's really it can be really kind of frustrating how comics and graphic novels do get that stigma of it does you're not reading because you like I said you have all these like colorful photos or colorful pictures in the
which
book.
I which I find that kind of like, for me, I think I do better. Like, I can still like read like regular books. It's just, I think for me, I actually work better with comics and graphic novels and things like that, just because I think at the moment right now, I'm just
Mhm.
struggling to differentiate with the figurative and the literal, because
Uh-huh.
sometimes it's like, sometimes your autistic brain just gets very literal, and it's like, it's really weird.
And here's the thing, and I'm sorry if like for those of you probably annoyed with my nerd shit when I talk about it. So another recommendation book for those who are of the tokusatsu inclined, the original Kamen Rider manga by Shotaro Ishinomori. One thing I really appreciate about the manga or comic world is showing, not telling. And I feel like sometimes like you can't really see because it's white pages and all this stuff. But you can still read it with your eyes. And it, you can tell the story through the panels. And there is times that I can understand it's probably better to expand your vocabulary from reading a book with just words and only words.
Yeah.
But for those, I don't want to say there's sometimes, some people have a hard time visualizing certain scenes or whatever. And I guess for me, kind of going back, one thing I really appreciate about at least this specific artist is what I love to get out of comic books is how artists frame their shots, so to say, as somebody who's more of the cinematically inclined. This is what I get out of like comic books and just graphic novels. It is how oh my god, I just turned it to the page I turned to before. Uh is how exactly they get the framing. I'm not going to actually zoom in, or I'm not going to like put it up to the screen because it's just going to light up the screen. But just for me, like I can tell what the scene is trying to show me. I can tell what the scene is trying to not enact. Is enact the right word? I'm not sure, but
Could be.
I really feel like it's not necessarily bad
Yeah.
to. I guess is what you get out of it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I have a couple more books that I shared, but if I went through it like all in one go, I'd probably be just like rambling on. So, John, do you
Mhm.
have at least one or two to
Yeah,
kind of
quite a
brush
few.
on?
Yeah, quite a few. I'm still reading this. I got this book for Christmas. Still reading it. It is the Becoming an Artist.
Become a nurse, yes.
Yep. So I've been going through it. I'm almost finished. I'm almost finished. Um,
Yeah, didn't you say that like there's an issue with the actual artist or whatever that like something with the book? I can't remember the whole context, but I did see him on my feed at one point like a week or two
oh,
ago.
that he liked my post about his book and commented.
I don't think it
Yeah.
was that one, but that is
Okay.
cool. That
Yeah.
that was something else, but
So these two mangas are my favorites. So yes. So I do also like manga. I'm
like I
trying.
feel like, and that's the thing is, and I'm gonna keep like hammering it in.
Mhm.
Is it's not necessarily just like reading, like you know, you can of course read a theoretical physics book, or like
Yeah.
read self-help books, or read like
Mhm.
just to read a
Yeah.
story to help you visualize what you need to visualize. But it is the story. It's what you're
Yeah.
getting out of the story is like what I feel like when somebody is reading. Obviously, we're not saying it. I don't want to say it's
But I
different. I'm
also
not trying to sound pompous.
Mhm.
but I also think it's like also under like also when you're reading like especially more specifically like a storybook or something,
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
actually understanding what the author intends
Yes.
with the story.
Like and the thing is, like I said, for me, for somebody who is more cinematically inclined, I I really like to think you can also use the graphic novel or the manga as a storyboard to be
Mhm.
able to, because the the artist already has like the exact way they want the framing and everything.
Yeah.
So, or just like the mood, or like I've read a couple shoujo mangas myself, so I know
Mhm.
the exact like type of lighting, the type of framing that they want in the scene. They want, like, if like a character is blushing, it has all the like glitter and stars in the front, and then like a very bright or whatever background. So it's like for me, at least to my tastes of specific stories, I do like having visual representation, and so I can read the scene better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I can still understand the argument of like have it, how what do you get out of it basically being handed to you?
Yeah.
Well, the thing
Yeah.
is, yeah, I think it's really down to interpretation, because you could read into a scene as characters walking around the forest, but what if like the hold on, what am I trying to say? I really feel like the show don't tell, or like too much exposition can kind of detract you from a story. Because if you're spending like half a page or like part of the page to explain where they're going, obviously, some people who write books also kind of write them in a sense where they're writing it like a script. So it might be scene something, this character's house, night, and then it
Mhm.
all takes place. But sometimes they'll say later that night at character's house. So I it there's an argument to be said for both. There's an argument to be said that some people are more. I don't want to say people are more creative if they imagine everything out of like when they get the books.
Mhm.
I do feel like, when you are reading just like a straight book, no pictures, no nothing, you're just going off the cover,
Mhm.
then it does help. Not that does help, but you are letting your imagination run wild.
Yeah.
And I kind of see it as like, um I don't know how to put this. It's gonna sound dumb. I read Cirque du Soleil as a young adult, or not a young adult, when I was in middle school. God. And when I read it, I was imagining it to be a little bit more flashy, a little bit more like some of the like main characters to be more bombastic. But when they translated it into a graphic novel or like into a movie, is a lot more flatter than what I would have imagined. So it really is
Yeah.
down to my interpretation.
But also there's like the saying of the book is better. And like we could talk about this in the next episode when we do book to screen adaptations.
Oh, that would
Um,
actually be funny.
yeah, like
Mhm.
saying it's what you're describing is kind of like the saying the book is better. It's the image that played in your head was better than what played on the movie screen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, that's kind of also how I feel. Is like there are times when the book makes it seem a lot more fantastical. It makes it feel like a lot more goes into it. There is the scene where I can't remember the instructor vampires guy. I can't remember his name, but that's a scene where he's like doing the trick with his tarantula or spider or something. It's been a hot minute since I've even like thought about the book.
Mhm.
But when I was thinking of it, I was thinking that, you know, the tarantula was crawling around his body, then it was going into the mouth, and then it was because it's like a circus. He was being a lot more showboaty, a lot more fantastical. But then I like go to like watch. I didn't even watch the movie. I've seen clips. The John C. Riley Cirque du Soleil, where John C. Riley played the character. For one thing, John C. Riley. I'm sorry. He, he's good at some of his roles, but I feel like that is not a role for John C. Riley. Um, there, I would have imagined somebody totally. I don't want to say it was a very Johnny Depp role, but I feel like it's more of like his caliber. But
Mhm.
I really feel like when you compress a very lengthy described scene in a book down to a scene, kind of loses its luster. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, um how else to kind of go on about that, but I really, yeah, it's just like
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry to say, but I feel like at least with I'm gonna keep going back to this. At least with graphic novels or comic books or whatever, like a lot of this framing devices and all this kind of stuff is I would say preset. Of course, when they adapt it into other stuff, they might make like a 2 to 3 page like thing get turned into like 2 seconds. It's like that's another story.
Okay.
No, no,
So,
share your thoughts.
um, so going back to book recommendations and actually going back to graphic novels, one of the other books, I had to quickly get the books that I said that I could that I would show because
Hmm. Yeah.
everyone's doing it. Yeah. So
Mhm.
one of the books that I remember reading back in 2023 was Nimona
I
actually.
love those.
Oh.
Yeah, pneumonia.
Yeah.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
actually read this, like I said, back in 2023, and it was before the movie came out, just so I can read the book. And while I don't remember the specifics of exactly what happened, other than it was very much like almost like it's I don't want to say backstory oriented, but it's like you get to have a lot more information. You have a bit more information about potentially Nemona's like origin
Hmm.
or
Mhm.
but overall I thought it was a fun read. It was fine.
Yeah, I feel like especially, and we're kind of going into a little bit of a book to movie adaptations in this episode, but we'll talk more about it next week. is like you have a little lot more space, a lot more room to divulge into a character's backstory in like a several hundred page book compared to a 2 hour, 1.5 hour movie.
Or like, and you could probably even get away with that in like and the only way you could get away with that is in like a TV show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Realistically, that's the only other way that you could get into that is yes, a TV show is because really self-explanatory. I don't know why I'm trying to like talk long about that.
But to go actually look at like a word book, because I understand like that it, like I said, I'm like, for me, graphic novels are like easier because I can better visualize it, but I also understand that I do need to read more um like word books, just so I
Hmm.
can get better at like, what do words mean? How are they used in whatever context? Blah blah. It helps me get better.
Hmm.
And actually, I found and we could talk about this in a future episode, is
Hmm.
that taking college classes for literature stuff, like I took like a steampunk literature class and also a future narratives class, which is essentially just sci-fi
Hmm.
stuff. And this was actually one of them that I read in one
Oh,
of my.
okay.
It's I thought it was interesting. It's a fun
Hmm.
read. It's definitely feels more solar punk in the
Hmm.
sense of it integrates like technology with like nature. But what I found interesting about the book was it it was like I remember the main character just leaving like their technological society altogether and going into nature, and then they come across this robot that they
Hmm.
befriend. At least that's from what I remember. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, that does sound interesting. It does sound pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, and there is like a sequel. There is a sequel to it. I forgot the name right now. It's on my shelf, but
one of
I need to get into that.
one of the books that I have. I don't know if I've ever shown this to you, Jenna, but I know we talked about. I think we did talk about fantasy writing a long time ago, and I remember I had this book. I don't know if you can see the title on that or not.
Yeah, like yeah, I
Um,
could see it.
but it's a really good book. Um, I really like this book because it really talks about the best way of writing your high fantasy stories and the best way of like and trying to see what how others or other authors approach high fantasy and how it became and how high fantasy became. It's a really cool book. I really like it. Um Another book, I don't know if you've ever heard of this book either, but it's called The Book Without Words. And the reason I like this book is because it feels as if let me show you an example in this book. So we have the chapters. So we have like chapter one, and the sections of the book feel like a script. So there's your second section,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and then your third section over here. It's real like it's interesting because it's like this actually feels like a script, but this is how a script for a movie should be written, like a novel.
Yeah.
And I really like it. I really like this book so much.
I
They're quite rare. Like,
and I was saying that a little bit ago
yeah,
that sometimes like authors kind of write their books like scripts. Like
yeah.
they almost want the book to be written like a novel
Hmm.
or written like a movie.
Yeah. I've
But
I've actually like, I remember this one example of how like I don't know if you ever heard of this fellow gentleman, Chuck Wendig, and the Aftermath Star Wars trilogy disaster book series. Like I remember watching a video about how awful the first Aftermath Star Wars Aftermath book is, and it's like, oh my gosh, the way that he fucking writes is like it's almost like he wants to turn it into a gosh darn script for a movie.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help. And like you can make a book like feel like you can take inspiration from the screenplay,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like
Yeah.
it just doesn't if you take it like literally, it just doesn't work because
Like, yeah.
it just looks awkward.
I feel like if you're gonna write a screenplay, write a screenplay. I mean,
Yeah,
really,
pretty
if we're gonna
much.
be realistic, like realistic. So, eight. What was I gonna say? Hey,
Speaking about, sorry, I was about to say, speaking about screenplays, I actually have a copy of the Star Wars Episode One screenplay.
ooh, I was gonna
And
Oh,
say,
what's
speak.
nice.
nice, and what's nice about it is that it has illustrations within the script. It has like storyboards within the script.
Oh,
Nice.
It's so good.
I
Let's just say I want to do this to one of my screenplays. Just so you all know, I want to do something like this for one of my own screenplays. So I don't have to make so pieces will be in it and all that. So
you know, it's just really funny that we kind of got into the Star Wars part of it because like Star Wars has like a crap ton of books. They're
yeah,
now considered legends.
yeah.
I mean, they're like slowly canonizing a bunch of these books anyway.
It's like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, no, please stop.
It's Disney. What do you expect?
I
Uh,
know, I know, I know.
The fact
but like it's just crazy that like at the time when the movies originally came out, there was only like three movies, and from the late 1980s to at least until the Phantom Menace, there was at least like 20 or 30 books in between, comics and otherwise, of like Mara Jade and like the escapades of Boba Fett getting out of the Sarlacc pit, which they turned into the book of Boba Fett. Not per like verbatim, but like, the extended
and,
adventures.
and the fact that there was a video of Kathleen Kennedy saying they did not have extra material that they could use, and we're all sitting there like, is aren't there comics? Aren't there books? Aren't there things that have already been written? We didn't
Yeah,
need the trilogy to be like this, like we did, because it's like, yeah, the stuff already exists.
I I I'm sorry to
Yeah,
say this. I'm
yeah.
sorry to say this for
Mm,
interrupting. When I
mhm,
say that there is a ton of books, I'm looking at the wiki right now,
mhm.
and I'm spending at least a good like 2-3 minutes total of just how many books there actually are
Mm,
in like the Star Wars like Legends continuity.
yeah.
It is it is crazy how much like I mean, if it were for Legends, we wouldn't have Thrawn. You know, a lot of people like Thrawn as a character, as a villain specifically. Should not be seen as anything other than a villain. But yeah, no, it's like what authors can get out of like even the small movies, which it's kind of like a reverse like writing a book into a movie is writing a story into a book is what certain authors can get out of a story. So like say, we only had the bare minimum of what the force represented in the movies. It was just really just kind of like space magic in the original movies. And obviously they did whatever they did in the prequels and the sequels. But, they were expanding on it in what used to be canon. Like, weird thing is, these books used to be canon. So, it's just amazing how many like people were, and then the fact that, I'm sorry, I'm jumping back and forth. The fact that they are slowly retroactively taking like some of these bits and pieces from these books and making it like part of the true canon Star Wars universe. It's just really funny. Sorry, go ahead. I would be here all day if I actually went through this.
This is what the mind of an autistic person feels like. This is completely normal, guys.
This is
Yeah, this is true. This is
if
normal.
I said how many Star Wars books there were, where we'd be here all day.
So my last recommendations. So I like the series. I think this is a series of books that I don't know if they're even being talked about as much as they used to be, but it is called the For Dummies book series and the Complete Idiot's Guide to Fill in the Blank series.
Ooh.
These books are really good on information. I have the filmmaking
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
book, and this book here, probably to me, probably before I started creating my own graphic novels and comics, this book was literally a godsend. Like I literally found this at the secondhand bookshop in the library that I go to, and I just really I just really like it. It really gets you to understand the steps of creating a graphic novel. And it's a really amazing book. I really like it. And my definite last but not least recommendation book is, and I also noticed that I don't know if this is true or not, but we don't really see DK books releasing informational books as they used to.
No, they.
Um,
You don't see it too much. I see
yeah,
like encyclopedia books,
yeah.
like
But this is the watercolor book that I
yeah.
have, so it's really cool, and I like it. I used to have another. I don't know if it was by DK, maybe it was Scholastic. It was by DK or it was by somebody. It was a really good watercolor book, and for some reason I couldn't find the watercolor book for some reason. So I may have gotten rid of it a long time ago by accident, maybe, and then I just ended up getting that book a while ago anyway. So
There
yeah.
is sometimes I feel like some art books kind of miss the point of showing how things work. Like
Hmm.
I don't know if you guys probably know the meme, but it's like the whole sorry for people watching at home. The scene from SpongeBob where he draws like the face. It's just like, okay, erase all these, then you have the frame. Erase all this, then you have the circle. Obviously, it's in reverse. First, we draw a circle, then we draw the frame, then here's the finished product. It's like, where's all the 50 things in between?
Yeah.
Like, I really
Yeah.
do feel like there are some art books that absolutely show you the fundamentals of what you need for art. But there's also people that like make some of these art books that I feel like, they made the finished product first and then they
Hmm.
worked back
Yeah.
from him.
And
Yeah.
this is kind of why, for me anyway, like I feel like a little hesitant when it comes to getting stuff like some of the books that you showed, like filmmaking for dummies and also creating
Mhm.
graphic novel, because the problem with some of these artists, with some of these like going to these artistic people for advice,
Mhm.
you are what you are essentially doing if you go to one and then you go to another, you're essentially restarting because
Yeah.
people have their own methods, their
Hmm.
own ways of doing the same thing. It's not the
Exactly.
same thing as like science or anything where you like go and yeah, where you continue from step one, but when you go to different artistic mentors, you're getting different things. And so that's just where I'm like, I don't know.
There's also, I hate to say, there's also people, and I know sometimes I'm very much like that sometimes when I'm like when I have friends of mine or people that follow me online asking about my photography and everything. It's like, oh, what do you do for framing? What do you do for setups? It's like, I used to be a lot more like, oh, you need this type of camera, all these types of lights, all this framing and stuff. When I've even learned, even through just like doing it slowly through experience, is that you don't need all like these big lights, these big fancy cameras. I still have a big fancy camera because I like taking photos with my nice big fancy camera. But it it really comes down to you know how you shoot it. Um, and I feel like still has to do with like some of these books is just like talking to people about different types of things. It's just showing their perspective on it, and it's not like um a colloquial. I almost said yeah, it's not like a mass of experience like you put into one in some of these books. It's just like one person's experience for it. So you might be only going off of like, I don't want to say the Kubrick method. You could be going off a Kubrick method, you could be going off a Lucas method, or um you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
It's like you just take what you just take what you like from each of them and make it your own. That's kind of
yeah,
what being an artist is.
it really is. And you know, I had to run off for a second a little bit ago, so that's why I wasn't talking much. But I think another thing, which is it's kind of funny just to have, is self-help
Hmm.
books, not even self-help books, but field guide books, especially written in the perspective of people that may or may not or are seen as fictional, or just like some people that have a good outlooks on life. Obviously, this is the Before You Leap book. The light, you can't pick it up because it like keeps reflecting on the shiny text. It is a book written by a certain frog.
Oh.
God, I think the page is actually starting to age a little bit. But, it's just kind of like it's, they're just like whoever actually wrote it, because obviously it's not going to be actually like Kermit that
Hmm.
wrote it. It's actually probably going to be a ghost author. There is just how the world of specific people when they write their books kind of gets put onto paper. And there's something about this book, and I've read it once or twice. We're just kind of seeing how they adapt the world into of that character. There's just something funny about it. And then you just have like zany or like very weird type of people while also making books, and is the Book of Mythicality by Rhett and Link, two longtime best friends that like do weird stuff for like 30 plus years, almost 40 plus years of their life, which is crazy. And I'll definitely say this one's a little bit more of the, what am I trying to say this feels definitely more like the DK type books, or the would it be wrong to say more of like the book fair type book?
I don't think so. I think that, you know, describe it the best way, I guess.
It's very much
Um,
a book fair type book where it's like it's still a field guide
mhm.
and like their perspective of a lot of things, but it's also there's a lot of interactive pages, all that kind of stuff. I think when a specific the book, whoever the book is written by, really put shows their perspective of the world.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get a little bit tangential about this. And I have family members and friends that really like a specific series of magical children written by a specific author. But you actually read the books and actually think about the characters and all this kind of stuff. It's not really a surprise that the author turned out to not really be a decent person. Not going to
Mm,
really get into the specific book, but it really does show. I think what I appreciate about just books in general compared to movies, because movies are a little bit more homogenized when it comes to like the world of like the story of the movie, where the book is solely on the writer.
mm,
They instill kind of like their worldview into the story as well, and like you just kind of get that kind of feeling of what to expect in this story. Of course, there's. I'm stammering. I'm stammering. You guys can kind of tell.
But
also,
You guys
um
know, and I'm pretty sure the people at home know the book I'm talking about. I'm really nervous to actually mention it.
can I just say it? Let's just rip the band-aid off
It's Harry
quickly.
Potter.
Yeah. Also, I also want to say, J.K. Rowling, you're not a screenwriter, honey. I'm
Don't come after
sorry.
us.
You're not a screenwriter. You're not a screenwriter. I'm sorry.
Don't come after us, Joan.
She's a
Okay.
novelist. You know, this was one of the problems I had with Fantastic Beasts is that, you know, if the Fantastic Beasts franchise was handled like the Hunger Games is being handled, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Because how the Hunger Games is being handled, it's being handled phenomenally well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And just to quickly end this off just with like my thoughts, and this is
mhm,
just because I watched a video about like what even is Slytherin at this point.
yeah.
It's like it's a series that has it's the literal definition of missed potential. There's so many
Yeah.
interesting ideas, and there are good things in there, but Rowling can't help herself.
Mm-hmm.
She tried like the the moment that she could get complex, she immediately backs out
Wasn't
because
there
it's like what?
There was also this whole thing a lot of people had before she kind of came out about her views is she would in like posts retroactively like
Yeah,
make retcon
infamously
things.
retcon a lot of things, and it makes me question: did you not think this entire thing through?
Yeah, like I said, don't come after us. We're just we're just making small critiques. Fair use. Uh I want to get into this next week when it comes to like book to movie
Yeah,
adaptations,
yeah,
but I want to at least touch upon it this week. I feel like when it comes to the book series Hunger Games,
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people tend to miss the actual point,
Mm.
especially when it comes to the subject matter. Like I said, we'll touch upon the next
yeah.
week
But to
because
round this off next episode with ending some of my books, notable books that I've read. And it's actually rounding off with I've been reading a lot of psychology books since, as a writer, it's one of the ways to really understand how people think and act.
hmm
And it really helps inform a lot of character writing and how people think.
Yeah.
So, especially like this one, Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell,
Hmm.
it's really good in the sense, such an important book on understanding how people actually behave. And
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, we are easily manipulated and blindsided by biases that have been unintentionally taught to us.
Yeah.
And also, another, like, I have three Malcolm Gladwell books. That was one of them. And this is the second one, The Tipping Point.
Uh-huh.
It was published in 2001, but I think a lot of it is still poignant. It talks about how the littlest, seemingly inconsequential things can make a big impact. And the book that I am currently reading right now, Revenge of the Tipping Point, is an extension of that. It's not really a sequel. It's not like the first one is required or anything, but it's an extension that of that concept that was expanded upon in the first one, and more so about how tipping points can be manipulated by people for better or for worse.
I I yeah, I can't talk. I think it's really
Oh, and
good to
actually, oh, and one more other recommendation from another book just to round off all of that, and something that I feel is actually poignant today, American Nations. Even though this was published in 2011. This one is basically a history book about the vastly different cultures around America and
hmm
how they were influenced by the type of settlers that came to each
yeah.
section. And because of that, it's very difficult internally for everyone to get along. It's
Yeah.
almost like they are a melting pot begrudgingly.
So no, and I really like that, the books that you just showed very much do are helping people kind of get into the heads of others. When a book is kind of like peer written, like written by multiple people, it does give it a very well-rounded. I don't know if that'd be the right term,
Yeah,
but
well-rounded view of people.
a well-rounded view of people, well-rounded perspective. Because, like, say if it's a book about people with autism, you don't want one person's worldview of autism. You want it to be a peer-reviewed book about other people's experience with it, even if it's just like interviewing people with it and having others who can help articulate it better. I think that be really, I think it's really good to have books when it comes to psychology books specifically, to have them be like peer written or written by multiple people. So I guess for my books are nerd shit. So first book is Full Metal Alchemist. Second book is really I would recommend the whole like different stories based off the games is The Legend of Zelda. This one specifically Ocarina of Time. Then one book series which is based off, well, actually the books, no, the series came first, the books came second, but the books expanded on certain plot points. But it also has very, I would say, progressive messages if you actually look into them. Is Kamen Rider by Shotaro Ishinomori,
Yeah.
and another one by Shotaro Ishinomori is Kimetsu Sentai Go Ranger. And I don't have the other book on me right now. I think it's actually in my in on my bookshelf. Is A Link to the Past by the same illustrator slash author, because I know we're going to go over time, but I want to say this. One thing I like about, when give me a second. One thing I like about when an author writes for a specific, when a book is written based off a different IP, like I said, they put their own spin on it. They put their own worldview on it. And in the original subject matter, you might not have these deeper meanings, deeper connections in there. But in the book adaptation, you can add so much more. We are going to go over time because I just wanted to say this. Obviously, in the games, Link does not talk worth crap. The guy talks in these books. He has hopes. He has dreams. There's a whole like storyline with Volga. There's storylines. There's like stuff talked about between Epona, all these other things that really flesh out the character. And I really appreciate how like different authors flesh out characters, especially depending on like when they were written. Because I believe Link to the Past was written shortly after the actual game came out, which is like in the late 80s, early 90s. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's
Those are my book.
Yeah. I was just gonna like add that as long as the author understands the source material, like the core of the source material and what it is, then any sort of addition to it can work as long as as long as the original core of what the source material actually is remains intact.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when some of these books were based off of video games were written, barely there was much to go off of because they were just going off of like sprites, and just vibes. The last thing, like I said, Before You Leap, it's a fun little book written by Kermit the Frog. It's just fun. It's fun. If you understand the Muppets, it's a fun little read. John, if you want to at least list a couple books like you recommended, so we can at least have a little recommendation from you
Alrighty.
in
Well,
a verbal list.
I have an art book, The Art of Hawkeye from Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a big, huge art book fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like I do really like art books. I will say art books. It's nice to see the concepts and the other ideas that the showrunners and the other people came up with. I really like I do really like those kinds of books too. So
I really feel
yeah,
like you get a lot more out of like art books than you do like just getting off of the internet,
Yeah.
exactly.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And for some of art books, for some movies, it just makes you go, what the heck happened here? Why wasn't this in the original thing? What happened here?
There's some movies I still wish they made art books for, but they never made them. So
Yeah.
that's their problem. I would have killed to get a Little Mermaid live action art book, but they never made one.
Mm.
Never made one.
Probably because
Maleficent was
of
just
you know
really
what?
oh
Yeah.
Probably because of
Yeah.
you know what? All the internet crap that went on.
Yeah, probably.
yeah.
I feel like it would have done pretty well. I mean,
Or
obviously there
like
was
or it's probably a strong indicator that the live action Little Mermaid was nothing more than a publicity stunt to bank off nostalgia and rage bait and
yeah,
crap.
Yeah.
yeah. Or it's just a lot of also the live action burnout too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah, yeah.
So
I think the last live action art book we had, what we had gotten was Aladdin, and that was like yet. After that, we never got any live action art
yeah, no,
books.
no. So all right. Sorry, we went a little bit over time. We went a little bit off subject, but it's kind of like the whole thing about this show. We are M.I.Diverse. It is March's reading month. And like John said, what is reading?
Reading is
Re-
what?
Fundamental.
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 But anyway, like I said, we are Diverse. We try to stay on subject. We really do. But we just want we want to thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, bell
Share.
notification, all that kind of stuff. We're
Share.
on, share, please. We're on Facebook, Twitter, or I'm not calling it X. And you know, we're still trying. I'm still trying. 9 to 5. I'm working a 9 to 5 here, guys. We're sharing. Please, we need you guys who watch to share. So, anyway.
We know you have time on your hands. We know you do.
Please. Anyway, so we will see you guys
funny.
next week. From otherwise, yeah. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.